I'm going to touch upon the relationship bit that you talked about in a while. Before that, I think there is one thing that you have talked about, which is a very unique concept. It is called sales ennoblement. So, can you tell us how it is different from sales enablement?
Yeah. Well, sales enablement, as so many people know, is extremely important, and it involves everything you do to make it easier and to help your sellers be more effective. That might involve tools, technology, training, coaching, the setup of your sales process. These things enable sales, and they're very important. What's missing from that discussion about sales enablement is what I call sales ennoblement. And that word ennoblement, it's not one that we use very often, but it is a real word. And to ennoble means to make someone or something worthy or important. I think sellers take a lot of abuse. Buyers are not always kind to sellers. Sellers who work the phones, right, they get hung up on or screamed at multiple times in a day. And inside the organization, there's pressure. Make the goal. What are you doing? What about, what's next? It's never as much focus on the positives or on the worth or importance of the work of selling as I believe it should be. So if we want to round out enablement with all the tools, technology, and equipment that people need to do their selling work, we also have to think about the feelings of the salesperson and the fact that they deserve to be ennobled, for it to be understood that the work they do is worthy and important. If for no other reason, I think this is important because we're asking sellers over and over and over again every day to put on a positive mindset and to feel good about the work they do and to carry forward confidence in the product, the company, the work that they do. And they that's hard to muster if you're feeling discouraged, if you're not feeling like what you do is important or worthy. That comes through as artificial and buyers pick up on it. So we want it to be real, and that gets fed from inside the organization.
Okay, okay. So, in fact, this brings me to my next question. You have always talked about the importance of building strong relationships, like you talked about just a few moments ago. Building strong relationships, forging strong bonds in sales, and how the focus should be on making a good relationship over making a sale. So, can you tell us more about it and how to achieve that?
Yeah. I'm not opposed to people making sales, by the way. So I want people to understand that the relationship is the best way to get to the place where you're making a sale. When you go into a new meeting with someone or someone that you've been working with, even, and your focus, your mind is all about let me close this sale, or your focus is on your sales process, you're going to miss elements that are only natural in a relationship. You won't pick up on the body language or the tone of voice or the other verbal cues that you might get. And you might miss the feelings behind what someone says if you're only exclusively paying attention to the content of what they say. So a relationship, any relationship that you have outside of selling, right, it's built on having an interest and caring about the other person. And you convey that through the way that you interact with them, the eye contact you make, the way that you respond to their verbal and body language cues, to how you pick up on even the little things. Relationships are damaged when you dismiss or overlook some of those natural relationship bonding kinds of experiences. And I don't know why it is that we seem to think that selling and buying relationships should be any different from everyday, all other relationships. That's just not true. We were humans before we were a buyer and a seller. And if we can connect on that level, human to human, we have a much stronger chance of understanding each other, reaching our mutual goals, making sure that each other's other goals get satisfied. And every bit of that is better for selling something now and having repeat business and referrals in the future. So a relationship strengthens the bonds that strengthen the sale. And I say this not just as a boy, that sounds nice and that's a lovely ideal. I say this because I'm a buyer side researcher and buyers say exactly the same thing. I am only quoting and reflecting what I know from buyers directly.
Okay, okay, that's very, very true then. So at times, we sellers try to forge a relationship. Just it happens that our first priority, our focus is on forging a relationship just to make that sale. And at times, because the focus is on selling and not on creating a relationship, things work out somehow that way. So I also wanted to ask you, there are a lot of stereotypes surrounding salesters. I think these stereotypes arise from the fact that we salesters are expected to at times beg, borrow, or steal to achieve our targets. And sellers think sales is usually, or rather buyers at times think that sales is usually about just push sales that need to be done. And ultimately that affects the way we sell. So can you share how can we overcome such stereotypes to sell?
I so appreciate that you started with sometimes we push this in organizations. It's not intentional. No sales manager starts out their day saying, I want my salespeople to be all those terrible stereotypes that buyers resist. But they don't realize that some of their actions do cause sellers to respond in those ways. When inside the sales organization, what you're talking about are results and only results. Make the number, hit the quota, uh, grind, 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 make X number of calls. When that's the focus, it does produce these stereotypical selling behaviors that are negatively associated with our profession, sadly. So I would caution inside the organization that you check what you're doing. That the best way I can say this is that your focus needs to be on two things: the right results, obviously, but also on the right way. How do you get those results? The right way of getting results, the kind of results that are sustainable, that cause people to feel ennobled, both buyers and sellers, that cause you to set up long term success. The way of doing that is more through relationships and protection of your brand, individual brand, company brand, because of your genuine interest in solving problems and helping your buyers and being there in a way that they can rely on. And when you think about both, right results, right way, it changes what you say to salespeople. Instead of it just being grind, 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 go get the number, it becomes more conversation about what are this customer's issues and problems? How well do you understand this customer? What's holding up the progress of the advancement of this sale? Do you know enough about the buyer to understand and diagnose that accurately? And when that's the internal conversation, that becomes the external face and the behaviors, the leadership behaviors, frankly, that sellers portray then to buyers.
That sounds a wonderful way to kind of break the mold, and I think I'm definitely going to try that. So, Deb, the next question in my head is how do we increase the productivity of sales staff?
Well, there's so many ways. And there, this will be a different answer for different organizations, different sizes of organizations. I guess I would answer that in this way. I care a lot about productivity. I should preface this by saying that it's a core value. It's such an important value to me that it's part of my company name. And productivity right now in this day and age, it's changed a bit because of work from home and because of information that's coming at us from so many angles, and we're now exposed to more information than ever since we're in front of our computers all day long. So information overload is actually a detriment to productivity. Information overload is not just something that should expect people to figure out and get through. Cognitively, in terms of the brain, it is an impairment to how productive and effective we can be. So, to help sales team members become more productive, I think one of the first things here and now that need to be considered is how do you support them and help them to filter information? And how do you help to strip away information or even work that doesn't lead to sales? So, we want sellers to focus on that high value customer facing work. We don't want to inundate them with more information or expose them to information that's extraneous and not useful. We want them to be looking, though, at the things that will be giving them support for the right way to do the work they do. And by the way, this is all true for what sellers need to do with buyers too. Buyers are also the victims right now of information overload, and we don't want to inundate them with more. We want to help them make sense of the information that they already have and to filter it in ways that create value. So this may sound like a funny answer to how do we make people more productive, but given where we are in this day and age, one of the ways you make people productive is you limit what you foist upon them so that they are not more overwhelmed than they already are.
That's very interesting. And I truly think it can really alter the way we salessters and corporates think.